Every investigation asked the same questions. Who were the hijackers? How did they get on the planes? What did the intelligence agencies miss? Almost no one asked the deeper question, the one that changes everything. Where did Al-Qaeda come from? Who built it? Who paid for it? Because the answer isn't hidden in some classified vault. It's in the congressional record, in CIA memoirs, in a 1998 interview with a man who laughed when he was asked if he had any regrets. This is not a conspiracy theory. This is the documented history of how the most lethal terrorist organization of the modern era grew out of a war that the very government it would one day attack had helped set in motion. Not by design, not with malice aforethought, but as a blowback no one in power stopped to imagine. It begins not in Afghanistan, but in Washington, D.C., in the summer of 1979. The Soviet Union has not yet crossed any border. Not a single tank has moved. But a man named Zbigniew Brzezinski, President Jimmy Carter's national security advisor, is already thinking about what happens if they do, and by his own account years later, about something more dangerous still, whether the United States could quietly raise the odds that they would. On July 3, 1979, Carter signs a covert directive, the first secret American aid to the Afghan rebels, the Mujahideen, 6 months before the Soviet invasion. At this stage it is non-lethal. Propaganda, medical supplies, cash. The lethal weapons come later, after the tanks roll. But the goal, as Brzezinski would describe it years afterward, was to give the Soviets their Vietnam, drag them into a war they cannot win, bleed them, exhaust them, break them. 5 months later, the Soviets invade. The trap closes exactly as designed. The operation gets a code name, Cyclone, and it becomes, by Guinness World Records' own designation, the most expensive covert program in CIA history. It starts at about $30 million a year. Then Ronald Reagan takes office, and CIA Director William Casey, a ferocious anti-communist who sees the Afghan jihad as a holy war against godless Marxism, pushes for maximum escalation. By 1987, the CIA is spending an estimated $630 million a year on this single operation. Saudi Arabia, as a strategic partner, matches it roughly dollar for dollar. Over a decade, an estimated $6 billion flows into Afghanistan, weapons, training, logistics, and almost all of it is funneled through Pakistan's intelligence service, the ISI. The CIA buys the weapons. The ISI trains the fighters and decides which factions receive them. And the ISI has a preference that will matter enormously. Of the 7 Mujahideen factions receiving support, it consistently favors the most extreme Islamist groups. The moderate commanders get less, the hardliners get more. It is one bureaucratic preference. It will cost thousands of lives. And now a young man arrives in Peshawar. He is 23 years old. He is the 17th son of one of Saudi Arabia's wealthiest construction dynasties, a family firm that built palaces for the royal house and helped renovate the holy sites in Mecca. He arrives, he will later tell a journalist, because he was, and this is his word, outraged that an injustice had been committed against the people of Afghanistan. His name is Osama bin Laden. He brings money, construction machinery, and his family's expertise in building infrastructure in hostile terrain. He builds roads into the mountains, tunnels, fortified training camps. He is very good at this. It is, after all, the family business. He also meets Abdullah Azzam, a Palestinian theologian who has been writing for years about a concept that will define the next 2 decades, that the Islamic world has a permanent obligation to wage holy war, not just to defend Afghanistan, but continuously, globally, until all occupied Muslim lands are liberated. Azzam provides the ideology. Bin Laden provides the money. In 1984, the 2 men co-found the Services Bureau, Maktab al-Khidmat, in Peshawar. It has offices in New York, in Chicago, in Detroit. It operates legally. It is welcomed. It recruits young Muslim men from across the Arab world, pays their airfare, houses them, trains them, and sends them to fight. Years later, a former CIA officer would recall that the agency took an admiring view of the foreign volunteers' zeal in those years, not as recruits it ran, but as useful bodies in someone else's war. And here is where the popular story gets it wrong. The CIA does not fund bin Laden. By the 9/11 Commission's own finding, it had no contact with him, and it declined to back the foreign Arab volunteers at all. They were never part of the American program. Bin Laden's network runs on other money, private Gulf donations, his family's fortune, a web of charities he can reach. What he shares with the CIA's war is not a paymaster. It is a battlefield. The same mountains, the same enemy, the same decade, and an apparatus of camps and recruiting that grows in the shadow of a war two superpowers are paying to wage. But Azzam and bin Laden are not building the same thing. And by 1988, the fracture between them is irreparable. Azzam wants the Arab fighters to support Afghan commanders. Bin Laden wants to lead them himself. Azzam believes the jihad belongs to one country. Bin Laden believes it belongs to the entire world, and that when Afghanistan is won, there will be another war, and another, and that the organization he is building needs to survive them all. In August 1988, in a series of meetings in Peshawar, bin Laden and a handful of senior commanders formalized the decision. They will create a new organization, permanent, decentralized, multinational, a network of battle-hardened men not bound to any nation, any government, any single conflict, ready to be deployed anywhere, against any target. They call it Al-Qaeda, the base. The timing is almost surreal, because at this exact moment the war is ending. The Soviets are withdrawing. The CIA is already losing interest, already quietly turning off the money. They got what they needed. The Soviet army is broken. The Cold War is effectively won. The Americans leave Afghanistan to whatever comes next. They always leave. In November 1989, Abdullah Azzam is killed by a car bomb on a street in Peshawar. No one is ever charged. No group claims responsibility. With the only moderating voice now gone, bin Laden inherits the full organization, its fighters, its finances, its global network. And he begins to point it toward a new enemy. Iraq invades Kuwait in 1990. The Saudi royal family, panicked, makes a decision that will haunt everything that follows. They invite hundreds of thousands of American troops onto Saudi soil to fight the war. Soldiers stationed in the land of Mecca and Medina. At bin Laden, this is not a military deployment. It is a sacrilege, a defilement of the holiest ground on earth. He offers to defend the kingdom with his own mujahideen. The offer is refused. He begins speaking publicly against the monarchy. The Saudis exile him in 1992, strip his citizenship in 1994, cut off his access to family money. They believe this will silence him. It doesn't matter. Al-Qaeda has long since built its own financial infrastructure, construction companies, honey businesses, a web of Islamic charities, and a donor network spanning the Gulf states. From Sudan, then back to Afghanistan under Taliban protection, bin Laden rebuilds. He trains, he plans, and in 1996, he issues a formal declaration of war, in writing, publicly, against the United States of America. In August 1998, simultaneous truck bombs detonate outside the U.S. embassies in Nairobi and Dar es Salaam. 224 people are killed. Thousands more are wounded. The Clinton administration responds by firing cruise missiles at empty training camps in Afghanistan. Bin Laden is elsewhere. He is unharmed. 2 years later, in October 2000, a small boat packed with explosives pulls alongside the USS Cole in Yemen's Aden harbor and detonates. 17 American sailors are killed, 39 wounded. A ship of war, crippled in port. Again, no decisive military response follows. Al-Qaeda draws the obvious conclusion. America can absorb a hit and choose not to respond. And in Hamburg, Germany, a small group of men has already enrolled in American flight schools. They have a specific kind of training in mind. In January 1998, a French journalist from Le Nouvel Observateur sat down with Zbigniew Brzezinski, the man who designed the original covert operation, the man who baited the Soviets into crossing the border, the architect of everything that followed. The journalist asked him about the rise of the Mujahideen networks, about the extremism the funding had empowered, about whether, knowing what had come from it, he had any regrets. Regret what? That secret operation was an excellent idea. It had the effect of drawing the Russians into the Afghan trap, and you want me to regret it? He said that in January 1998, 3 years and 8 months before the towers fell. His name was Mohammed Atta. He was 33 years old, Egyptian-born. He had studied architecture in Cairo and urban planning in Hamburg. He was meticulous, disciplined, and utterly certain of what he was doing. He trained in the same network of mountain camps that the Afghan war had spawned, the kind bin Laden's own money built, that a generation of fighters passed through. He moved through the same Peshawar pipelines that had carried foreign volunteers into that war. On the morning of September 11, 2001, he boarded American Airlines Flight 11 at Logan Airport in Boston. He flew it into the North Tower of the World Trade Center at 8:46 in the morning. It took the tower 102 minutes to fall. It had taken 22 years to make him.